literally, he went home, went to a baseball game, and he was like, he called me the next day, and there's pictures. He's like, Doug, this was crazy. I was just sitting down with two of my friends, right, having a good time, and women were just coming up to us. They were walking through the stands, coming up to us to go talk to us, to chat with us. Now, he was married. He didn't do anything, but he's like, I didn't ask him. I didn't do anything. That wherever we went was like magnets. My friends were like, what is going on, man? Guys, have you ever wanted to know how to increase your value? And I'm not just talking about any value, but think of yourself like a stock trading in the open market. I'm talking specifically, though, about your SMV, or your sexual market value. Now, SMV is how you're perceived, how you're looked upon in the open market by women. Now, you could be in a committed relationship, or you could be single. Either way, your SMV is critically important to how you show up and how women perceive you. Now, it could be your wife, it could be women that you're dating. Either way, we want to increase our SMV, or our sexual market value. And today, Tim Matthews and I are going to dive into the basics of SMV, but we're also going to go into advanced techniques, or what we call SMV 2.0. These are techniques that most men miss, but you can actually apply today as we dive into them. So stay tuned, get your notes ready, because Tim and I are going to dive into some deep things that you can use right away. Tim, as always, man, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, I love being here, brother.
Yeah, it's just so much energy when you're here and we're getting things done, and the movement. We have an alpha reset going on right now next door.
Yep.
We have men coming in that are dropping off their emotional baggage, if you will, becoming better versions of themselves. And not really just from the outside, but also from the inside. And I think a lot of men don't realize that SMV ties right into that.
Oh, big time. I mean, when we were brainstorming yesterday about the Alpha Ascension Matrix, we'll talk about another time.
Yep.
We were talking about a certain pathway that men might want to choose to follow. And we determined, hey, you can't just follow a relationship pathway. There's got to be an element of self in there. There's got to be an element of health in there. Now, there doesn't have to be business in there necessarily, although today we will kind of dive into how business does weave into SMV 2.0. But yeah, this is very much interlinked. And I think the mistake a lot of guys have made previously, one, actually, is probably just not being aware of SMV, which we've all been there. But then two, not considering the holistic nature that they get to actually embrace in order to be a well-rounded guy who can really embody and embrace SMV.
Yeah, and from our lens, we get to see thousands and thousands of men. Mm-hmm. The kind of the befores, if you will, that come through the program when they enter the program, and then when they leave. And a common thing for married guys is we fall into routines, right? We fall into these routines where you've been married for a decade or so, and you start to wear your frumpy clothes, as my wife likes to call them, around the house. You're wearing the same sweatpants or t-shirt with a hole in it. It's comfortable, but it's the same one you've been wearing. It's got the stain on the left-hand side or what have you. And then when you go out, you don't particularly dress up because, hey, a t-shirt, shorts, and sandals. I'm from Southern California originally, so that's the dress, right? That's what we wear. And guys fall into this routine, and they let their hair go, their beard go, their skin go, their bodies go, right? And it's much deeper than that. But if we're just looking at the surface level of SMV, what does someone see from the appearance side? Now, none of us want to be shallow, but at the same time, man, looks matter. And so when we look at SMV, let's talk about some of the basics that guys want to get back in place from the appearance side, and then we can go into a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest shifts we see the guys make that come into the movement is when they do the ARS.
Yep.
And a piece of the ARS is them working out. And when they begin to work out and begin to get the fitness back, the strength back, they feel better, they look better, and then naturally they start to just kind of dress a little bit better too, especially when they become aware of this concept. But the fitness piece is one that can really easily, well, I don't want to kind of separate the fitness piece with the other elements of ARS, because I also think the guys taking some time for themselves on a morning to clear their head, put themselves in the right space, and also work out is really beneficial with SMV.
Yeah, SMV is not just about appearance, but I do want to touch on that because I know a lot of guys miss this. You and I get the opportunity of meeting literally thousands of men online and as we have here right now in person at our events. We have a 106-acre ranch that we hold retreats. So it's not just online. I think a lot of people miss that. We actually have in-person events. We have a lot of them. And so when I see a lot of guys come through, again, here's a couple things, guys. I'm going to give you a checklist of what I see guys doing, just easy changes. One, guys don't clip their fingernails, right? Fingernails or toenails, and they'll wear sandals. And I know this drives a lot of women nuts because women talk. Women talk way more than men do about their partners, right? So, for example, my wife knows all the idiosyncrasies of all the men in the community based on their wives. So that's an easy one. Another one I'll throw out there is guys just, we and I do this, I still do it. We keep these old clothes, right? That are just comfortable to us. And that's great, but there's no spice. Now think about it. Your wife probably is always trying on new dresses. I get packages come into my house, seems like every day. She's trying on new dresses that are flowy or she's tight or whatever she is. And she wants me to look at her and look good in them. Well, she wants the same for me. And every time I put on a new shirt or I get one for an event, she always comments on it. And what's more interesting, Tim, all the other women that are in our community that for my family hangs out with, they all comment on my new shirt every single time, which tells me, hey, they're noticing. And not only are they noticing, my wife is noticing them noticing.
Yeah, your shirt game has been strong lately.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you.
But yeah, you spot on. You know, we always talk about the basics. Easy to do, easy not to do. Simple grooming things, like you said, beard, hair, clothes, how you feel in those clothes, hence the working out piece. They all play a big factor, and I think you make a great point of just falling into those routines. And when a guy falls into routines and habits where he lets himself go, not only does he let himself go, he lets the relationship go. And, you know, it's very easy at that point for the woman to be in the gym, to be getting some attention from her trainer or from whoever it may be.
Yep.
A guy that is looking after his appearance, a guy that is intentional about how he looks and feels in his body and in his clothes, and naturally their eyes can begin to wander a little bit.
It happens all the time. I mean, you and I come from the fitness world, and so we've seen it a million times. An exaggeration, obviously, but we've seen it a lot. And there's also little things. So I'll hear from women that I know, guys, you know, whether they trim their nether regions or not, but washing. Like guys don't wash their nuts or something like that. And then they expect their wife to go down on them or what have you. She can smell you, buddy. Or put deodorant on or basic, what most of us consider basic hygiene, brushing your teeth. Some guys just, they get tired. They get, you know, things happen and they let them slip. They let those basics slip because they're getting comfortable. And so the basics of SMV, you want to look at this like I look at this like you're evaluating a business, right? How would I evaluate you, or more importantly, how would a woman evaluate you on the market? Now, before we get into some more of the basics and then go to the advanced techniques, I want to set the stage here because I can guess there's a lot of men listening to this going, I'm married, this doesn't apply to me. And guys, it applies to you probably even more than it does the single guys, because you have more to lose, one. But two, your wife wants to know that you're showing up as the best version of yourself, right? That's huge. And we'll touch on that, especially when we go to the advanced techniques. The second thing is, look, when my wife sees me with a nice shirt on, like when I actually try to look good, not like when I get on here, but when I actually like, hey, we're going on a date and I want to look good. I want her to look good. I want us to have that kind of dating feel, right? So I dress up. My wife comments and compliments me, which always feels good, of course. But what I also notice is if other women notice me or notice my shirt, because we're talking about that, we'll stick with that. If they notice, my wife, her interest in me increases, right? There's now a little bit of competition. There's some friction. Now we have polarity. Now it's getting more and more polar. And the more I can build up that polarity, that's building up sexual tension, right? So my wife and I could be on a date. My SMV is high. She's noticing that my value on the open market, in other words, other women are looking and they may want to, quote, invest, if you will, if given the opportunity. If that happens, my wife now, I become more scarce as an option, right? I'm a better option for her. And so that turns women on more. And there's more opportunity for my wife and I to have intimacy.
Yeah, I think it's important for the guys to realize that this is always at play.
Always.
You know, even if you're in a long-term relationship, a marriage, and they might be thinking it doesn't apply to them, it's always at play. It's like polarity. Polarity is always at play. And women don't necessarily realize this is what's happening. But to your point, when a woman is looking to acquire a guy, she's looking to acquire a guy who she believes is going to be a good provider, a good protector, and she is literally going out into the marketplace to assess the options. And this is where, to your point, where attraction comes from. We've all been in situations where we felt a certain level of attraction at times to different people, regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not. That's sexual market value at play. That is seeing somebody who you feel attracted to based on how they appear to you, be it how they look, be it the charisma, be it how they're dressed, be it the shape that they're in, be it the confidence, be it the mission they're on, whatever it may be. We want to be around those people. So it's always at play. So you can either use this in your favor and recognize and accept that this is almost like gravity. This is always happening. And if it's always happening, then hey, do you want to get on board and just leverage it? Or do you want to have it work against you?
Yeah, so we did an event in Tulum. This reminds me of this, Tim. So SMV isn't just your physical appearance. It's the obvious ones I like to start with when I'm explaining this. But it's also how comfortable you are in your own skin. And this is why all guys have seen this happen, where you'll see a guy who is not as attractive as you physically, but all the bombshell women are around him. You're like, he must be rich. And he turns out he's not. But he's comfortable in his own skin. He laughs at himself. He makes them laugh. He's just good to be around. Magnetism, right? And what I see happen time and time again, and I warn guys about this when they go through the alpha reset, but specifically I'm thinking of a guy who did an event with us in Tulum. He'd been through an alpha reset. Then we did some deeper work in Tulum with a group of men. And I said, hey man, just watch this. You're going to have, now that you feel so comfortable in the man that you are, and all we did was strip away all the BS, all the bullshit from him, and let him be the man that he is. Literally, he went home, went to a baseball game, and he was like, he called me the next day, and there's pictures. He's like, Doug, this was crazy. I was just sitting down with two of my friends, right, having a good time, and women were just coming up to us. They were walking through the stands, coming up to us to go talk to us, to chat with us. Now, he was married. He didn't do anything, but he's like, I didn't ask him. I didn't do anything. That wherever we went was like magnets. My friends were like, what is going on, man? And he's known these guys for 20, 30 years. But all of a sudden, wherever he went, women were just magnetically attracted to him. And this guy, you know, if he hears this, no disrespect, he's not the best looking guy in the world. He's a great guy, but not the best looking guy. He's not Brad Pitt, right? So when he walks in, he might be missed by a lot of people typically. And he was saying, man, just for whatever reason, I just felt grounded. Like we call it the lighthouse, right? I felt grounded in this, my wolf energy, wise, open, loving, and fierce. And women were just flocking to him. And that also is SMV.
Oh, 100%. You know, mission, right? A guy being on purpose, a guy knowing where he is going, knowing what's important to him, standing by what's important to him without the need to please or placate to others. Very attractive, right? People might not always necessarily agree with him or like it, but it's attractive, right? Because it conveys a certain level of certainty. Equally, charisma, to your point, you know, having the ability to have social skills and have banter and play and laugh and joke. It's a huge part of having advanced SMV. And I think a lot of guys miss that. I think, you know, a lot of the guys that come into the movement do a really great job of doing the basic elements of it and some of the advanced things. I think they do some of the advanced things without realizing they're doing advanced SMV, essentially. So I'm enjoying the fact that we're going to highlight, well, we're highlighting some of it right now because knowing the guys in the movement, knowing the kind of guys they are, they're going to listen to this and they're going to apply the social aspect, right? Part of advanced SMV is being somebody that's in demand, somebody that isn't always available, like not from a place of falsehood, but from a place of, hey, he has a lot of options, be it friends, be it people that basically want his attention and want to give him attention. To a woman, or even on the sexual marketplace, that stock is a high value stock. It's scarce. That isn't a common commodity that a guy has, is somebody who people want to be around and are vying for his attention.
Yeah, I want to add on to this because I did this as part of a masterclass, and we have masterclasses for the men that are in our back-end programs. The Brotherhood's a 1-year program, and the Inner Circle, 2 levels of 1-year programs men continue on with us in. And in that masterclass, I had to do a lot of research, right, to make the masterclass as good as I wanted it to be. And it was on brain chemistry, right? And how our brain actually affects the way we do things. And I'm going to mess this up, but I'm going to try my best, guys. But I believe it's serotonin and oxytocin combined together, right? That causes a woman to look for a higher SMV man, right? There's this idea of hypergamy as well. You guys can look that up. But the idea here is she's always looking for a guy playing at a high level. Women just subconsciously are always looking for the next level. Now, it could be another man or it could be you rising. And the reason being is innately a man with a higher social status, to your point, Tim, that man is more likely to get food provided to him, give him opportunities for housing and food and opportunities to provide and protect. He's less likely to get kicked out of the tribe. Therefore, if she associates with a guy who's less likely to get kicked out of the tribe, who has more opportunities for food because of his social status, more opportunities for other people because they like him to help him out, then there's less of a likelihood that he's going to get hurt, she's going to get hurt, and therefore he can protect the kids. So just from a brain chemistry standpoint, women start looking for men with high SMVs without even knowing why they're doing it.
100%. I was going to read through some of the notes here. List a few of these items off. You've already mentioned some of these, but I think it'll be good for the guys. Physical appearance and health, we've spoken about. So fitness and nutrition, an obvious one. Grooming and style. One of the things that I love that the guys do within the movement, they often get, I can think of Force of Nature, he's one of them. I don't know what service he uses, but every 90 or 120 days, clothes get delivered to his door.
Yeah.
Like a new season.
Stitch box or something.
Yeah, and they're kind of tailored and fitted.
Yep.
And it's a great, simple, easy way of doing it.
Animal does something like that too, where he has a bespoke program
where
a tailor comes in or a woman.
Yeah. So grooming and style, obviously the beard piece goes into that and going to the barber regularly. Health and vitality. Funnily enough, we were kind of debating on the word vitality yesterday about something different, but with SMV, I can see how vitality plays a big role because it's one thing to work out, but it's another thing to understand what's actually going on in your body and be following a plan, be it food, lifestyle, supplements, whatever it may be, that's specific to you that results in higher levels of energy, vitality, whatever it may be, directly influences SMV.
Yeah, let me touch on that real quick if I can.
Yep.
What I often hear from women, and I did this for my wife, guys, but I would give business and work my best and then come home and give my wife or my family the rest until I've started switching that around. Now, I'm not perfect on that. Still something I'm working on because I love what I do. I'm so passionate about what we do for these men. But a lot of men come home and they're just tired. And the way, when I teach this to men, Tim, I go, who would you rather hang out with? You want to hang out with your buddy when he's exhausted? You know, he's just barely kind of moaning, sitting on the couch? Or do you want to hang out with that same buddy when he's fresh, full of energy, wants to do things, wants to talk about, listen to your stories, tell you stories, laugh and engage? It's obvious. Everybody wants to hang out with a guy that's more engaging. Your wife and women have the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. I recently had some blood tests done, as you know, and one of the results I got back was that my body is very poor naturally at methylation, so getting rid of waste, but also producing certain neurotransmitters. And when I began following a specific supplement plan that was all around basically increasing BDNF and honestly microdosing with some other things too, the difference in my mood was like night and day. But previously, I didn't realize my mood was like that. I just thought this is how I felt. I knew that I was having to work harder to maintain a certain level of mood and positivity that I used to find easy, but I didn't realize it was because of this. And then, like I said, after following the plan, I'm like, whoa, it was like the glasses had been removed, which directly influences SMV because my levels of confidence, charisma, banter, all that kind of stuff, they feed into it. They come from that.
Yeah, I remember reaching out to you not too long ago and saying, hey, man, just want to let you know, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because there was a noticeable change in you. And maybe that had something to do with this whole process.
I think it did, yeah. And then the other one is emotional intelligence and personal growth. So one of the pieces within that, developing emotional intelligence. Now, I think the guys become very good at this. Hidden motives technique, the clean slate letter that we give them. When the guys go through the reset and they really get to the root cause of why they have been a certain way, and they're able to leave that reset with some radical self-acceptance and some radical self-confidence that directly influences their SMV.
100%.
Massively. Well,
this is also why, Tim, my theory is, and my wife agrees with me because she coaches women, is sometimes, so a guy could be served divorce papers, he joins the activation method, and within the first week, his wife comes back.
Yep.
Or they gain him back. And it's not because he radically changed, it's because she sees his stock going up. Oh, he's been talking about all this stuff he's going to do, but now he's actually doing it, right? He's actually committed to his growth, and now she sees the upside.
Some of the biggest shifts we've seen guys make is when they reach the point of fuck it, if you will. I was speaking to the IC guys yesterday.
Yeah.
And that point of fuck it, if you will, is the point of, hey, I am so secure in me and where I'm going and who I am that I'm going there with or without you.
Yep.
And the woman often is shocked and surprised and also has a lot of FOMO around this.
She's also turned on.
100%, right? Because it's very attractive, which goes to one of the other points we'll get to in a minute, which is status. But yeah, there's a hell of a lot of power because it's the opposite of neediness. It's complete confidence and self-assurance. And it's a very attractive quality, which again ties into an advanced SMV strategy. But the key with this is,
hey guys, I wanted to interrupt this episode because it's dawned on me that many of you guys aren't aware that we actually have a book on how to save your marriage without talking about it. Now, thousands of men have read it, they've reviewed it, and I want to give you the opportunity to do the same. If you're interested in grabbing it, it's a short read, but it's helped a lot of men just like you. And maybe you're not interested in the activation method yet, but this is a small entry point that can really turn things around for you. Go over on Amazon. We have it priced as cheap as Amazon will let us. And that way you have a resource that you can use right now to start getting some results in your marriage. Now let's get back to the episode.
a guy can't fake that.
Nope.
A guy can't listen to this and go, oh, I'm just going to apply a fuck it mentality, because it's the energy and the place that it comes from within the guy that he becomes immovable, and not from a place of ego or bravado. It's very much the opposite. It's from a place of quiet confidence and quiet self-assurance and detachment. And you just want to be around those guys. There's such a sense of calmness to them. I mean, how we define alpha, right? Being alpha means a quiet confidence, a quiet self-assurance. You have a calming effect. You know what you need to do for your pack. You lead by example. You're comfortable with it. All those things weave into it. Next was, in the research, continuous personal growth.
Kind of touched on that a second ago.
Yep, you did.
And also doing it continuously, as you said.
Yep. Building confidence, which, to be fair, goes to all of these. And then the third kind of section after emotional intelligence and personal growth is social skills and status, which we've already kind of been touching on a bit. But there's three elements within this. One is enhancing social skills. 2 is building a strong social network. And 3 is increasing social status.
I love this, especially the social network. I just got off a call with one of the guys I work with one-on-one, and this is just what we were talking about, going through. Now, you know it because you and I were talking about it as it pertains to the Alpha Ascension Matrix. Mm-hmm. But we've all heard all of these things, right? Iron sharpens iron. I remember, I think it's 5th grade. I've talked about this on the podcast. I'm sitting in a homeroom class, Tim, right? I don't know the teacher's name. I couldn't tell you what the teacher looked like, but this friggin' brown paper mache thing was on the right-hand wall and a picture of birds. Why do I remember this? I don't know. I was making fun of it for sure, but I believe it's true. And it was birds of a feather flock together, so choose your friends wisely.
Wow.
And I thought, how stupid, right? But that's the only thing I remember about fifth grade is that one saying for whatever reason. And I think this is an advantage that the men here that are here today at the ranch are going to experience is they've surrounded themselves. There are, counting in my head, 13 outside of this room, 13 amazing men, all business owners, all A players, all here to better themselves for themselves first and foremost, but also from their families and communities. All of them are here to uplift each other and do the deep, deep transformational work that you can't find anywhere else. These men have traveled from all over the world to be here. Talk about iron sharpening iron. These are the 1%ers of the 1%. And they're all here. And so when I had my client do his personal inventory and look where he is, I was like, okay, where do you want to be? How do we increase this for you? And this doesn't mean that you leave your friends behind or your family behind. That's not what you and I are talking about here. It's what is your network? Are you upgrading your network? Are you surrounding yourself with men of similar values, men who are also on the game of being better, right? And I'll add one more thing as an example. You led the men through the Alpha Rise and Shine, a different group of men that were here. And all these guys, now all of a sudden you're working out with a bunch of guys, all different fitness levels. But here's one thing I can tell you is because some of the guys are working out, everybody worked out, and everybody worked out a little harder than they would on their own.
Yeah. 100%. And that's what I said to the guys after. I thanked them. I said, thanks for doing this with me. You pushed me and you made it easier for me to do it.
Yeah.
Right. One that isn't on here that I think is really, we've kind of touched on it, but I think it's important to emphasize is mission.
Yep.
Or purpose. I can think of many guys within the movement that have been with us for a few years that I think this is one of the things they are lacking in a major way. And as a result, they do a lot of these other advanced SMV strategies well. So they're aware of the health and fitness piece. They get their bloods done. They dress well. They're well groomed. They're around a good network. They've got high social status. They're confident and charismatic. They do a lot of these things really well. But the bit that often is lacking is them really getting behind a cause that they, I'll just say what I'm thinking, are willing to die for.
Yep.
And as a result, they then lack a level of direction, certainty, clarity, and penetration in the world that they don't realize they are lacking until they have it. Kind of like me with that supplement. I didn't realize I was feeling that way before until I wasn't. And I turned around and looked back and like, wow, holy crap, night and day. As a result, these guys almost settle within an area. Usually it's the area of business. They're still doing well there. But it also bleeds into wealth, which bleeds into self, which bleeds into their relationships. But they almost settle and become in this holding pattern, waiting for the day for this mission to arrive, at which point they will then get up, burn the boats, and just go for it. And I don't mean burn the boats by burning the business down. It's an internal shift that they make, kind of like the whole fuck it idea. And I'd love for those guys listening to this. And look, some of them get involved in giving back in the movement, right? Whether it's volunteering at a reset, whether it's whatever it may be, there's lots of ways and avenues that can do this. But I'd really love for these guys to consider this particular piece. I'm thinking of a few. I'm tempted to name the nicknames, but I will, in fact. We've got Force of Nature. We've got Chief. And there are a few others as well. We've got Toolman. Mm-hmm. There are a few others that are coming to mind, but I'm struggling to remember the nicknames, and I'm not going to name them with the first name and last name, but you get the point, right?
I can think of a bunch of guys, yeah. And this is the biggest thing. I remember, gosh, I can't remember how old I was, man. I was in my 30s, probably, maybe late 20s. I read David Dietta's book, The Way of the Superior Man.
Yep.
He talks a lot about this. And then I studied under Kim Anami, who does a lot of sexual mastery stuff. She talks about this. This is what women want. If you want your woman to have amazing orgasms, you want her to have all these things. It's not techniques. It's not the size of your penis. It's not, how well you go down on her. It's how well you tap into your own inner passion. And this is interesting because this is a woman who teaches sexual mastery for men, for women, all of these things. And I went into this naive thinking I'm going to get these like crazy techniques that I can do to my wife and she's going to go absolutely nuts. And 90% of what she teaches is if you want to turn your wife on, if you want her to be like that where she's having the best sex she's ever had, it starts within you and finding your passion and your purpose. And I think what a lot of guys, Tim, get stuck on, because I have this conversation a lot, as I'm sure you do, is they think that their purpose needs to be an original idea that's just them, rather than going, hey, this is something I'm involved in and I'm going to go all in and help out whatever this is. Could be your church, could be philanthropy, right? A lot of guys do that. It could be all kinds of things. Now, as you said, we have men that get involved in the movement of the powerful man. We're here. Our goal and our mission, as we say this podcast, is to help save 10,000 children by saving their fathers first, right? On the average of 2.2 kids per household. I think last week at our leadership meeting, we said we're this year alone, we're at over 3,200. We're a little bit behind pace, but we have men that are within that movement who get behind that mission. They're like, yeah, I want to help the men that don't know, men that haven't been here before. In fact, we have 3 guys right now in the main ranch house next to us on the ranch property who are volunteering to give back to the other men that are attending their Alpha Reset. And that's on mission. And those guys, I'm sure, would tell you at the end of this, they go home, they are going to be able to fill their wives with their love, their passion, because they're giving back something that means something to them.
I'm just thinking, so the way that a woman gets turned on is obviously by the guy bringing this particular energy. It seems to me as though the way to turn the woman on is for the guy to turn himself on.
100%.
And the way he turns himself on is through mission and purpose, because the masculine obviously grows through challenge. And when they've got something they're committed to that's meaningful, they are willing to run through walls for, the guy, by definition, is turned on. And then when he takes that energy to the woman, she feels it, there's polarity there, and she opens up.
100%. Here's the other thing. It has to be more important than her.
Yes.
It has to be more important than her. Most of our guys get so much shit for coming to our events, right? I hear this about guys going to Prague or anything else. These are shit tests, gentlemen, most of the time. Sometimes they could be legitimate. You gotta need to recognize them. But she is testing you. If she can control you and stop you from your mission, that scares her because now she's unsafe. Now, let me say this again because a lot of guys aren't going to get this. So guys, you're on the treadmill, you're in a car. If she gives you a shit test for being on mission, so let's just say for the guys that want to go to Prague, like Prague is our next event in October, we're bringing the men over there. It's going to be an amazing event. If she's doing that and you say, oh, you give in, right? And it's got to be your mission. Then she realizes she can control you. If she can control you, how the heck are you going to stop the guy down the street from hurting your family? How are you going to stop the woman that's coming, from the bar or the coffee shop that hits on you? It scares women. She is now unstable. She is now scared that she needs to go into her masculine and take control because you're no longer safe. Because if she can rattle you, if she can take you off mission and purpose, then everybody else can. Ergo, you can't actually be there to save her and your kids. And she doesn't play this out this way, guys. This is all subconscious. But this is the effect of shit tests. And there's no greater shit test than the one about your mission and your purpose.
Definitely. And, that says a lot if you don't have a mission and purpose.
Well, she can't be safe, right? It's the number one thing women need.
Yeah. It's oftentimes when guys don't have it, they often make the woman the number one mission and purpose.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Just like the woman makes the kids.
100%.
Another bad idea.
Which we're considering SMV 2.0, and the guy's been a stock on the marketplace, that stock isn't going to trade very highly. If you're making the woman the mission and the purpose, then think about attention. That you don't have, you're not somebody who has scarce attention. The likelihood is you're not somebody who has high social status. The likelihood is you're not somebody who has a lot of interesting things going on in your life, because a lot of your purpose in life and happiness and significance will therefore come from her, which is a huge burden to place on her, which is kind of needy as well. And she feels it and she will pull away.
Let me give you a case study too for the guys listening. There's a guy that I work with one-on-one. Let's just say the gentleman came here and redid our road twice, basically helped us out. So thank you to him. So he and his wife were, let's just say, not emotionally connected or physically connected. And at one point, so what he started doing, he started dressing better. He started working out, going to the gym every single day, consistently, right? Like a rock, consistently every single day. He started changing the way he ate, started changing his different habits he was doing. He was more on mission, more on purpose in his business. He came to the ranch multiple times, as you know. Came here one time specifically to fix the road at the ranch. It's 106 acres. We have a big, big, long road. And it had some potholes in it and stuff. And he did it on his own time, on his own dime. But he was on mission, on purpose. Fast forward, his wife now goes, hey, I am seeing the change in you. I'm seeing the consistency. And just yesterday, this guy sent me screenshots, and he and his wife are sending, deeply erotic messages back and forth to each other. Now, think about that. For a lot of guys listening to this, they're like, oh man, I just want my wife to like me again, right? To let alone be in this state. That's where this guy was. But he worked on his SMV and a lot of other things that we teach, especially engaged indifference, kind of cocky, funny, if you will. Engaged indifference goes back to how do you have the charisma, but also the confidence. And as he's doing that, guys, now he's brought, fast forward to today, now he's in a place where the marriage is great. They're sending erotic messages. They're going on an international trip together. And it's because he's focused on these things that we're talking about.
Beautiful. So let's leave the guys with a couple of action steps.
Yep. I'll go first. Guys, start with the basics. All right. Go look in the mirror right now. Take a picture of yourself and just be honest. Don't be a jerk to yourself. We're all assholes to ourselves, but be honest. Do your clothes represent the value of the women that you're looking on online? You're all looking at some chick online on Instagram, wherever you are. Look at the way you look, the way you're dressed right now in this moment. Now, I know this moment's not representative of the way you always dress, et cetera, but where are you? How are your nails? What is your hair? Your beard. If you're overweight, are you comfortable being overweight? If you are, you can be overweight and be comfortable with it, and women will be okay with it. But if you're not comfortable with it, they'll pick up on it right away. Where are you in your physical appearance? And the second thing I'm going to ask you guys to do, once you've made that assessment, is make a plan to make those changes if you'd like to.
I love the idea of getting clear on where you are. So I'm going to apply that one, but to their wife. Mm-hmm. Are you making your wife the center of your world? If you are, why?
Yep.
And what might it look if you didn't make her the center of your world and you actually were able to find some kind of mission and purpose? Like you said, whether it's your church, whether it's philanthropy, whether it's TPM, whatever it may be. But just become aware of that and see if you get to shift that.
I'm going to give a little plug here because, guys, we just had our leadership meeting and we're looking to double in the men that we serve, and we need your help. We want your help. So if you're looking for a mission and TPM sounds like something that you want to sink your teeth into, go ahead and reach out to Tim and let him know, tim@thepowerfulman.com, and guys, we'll get you in. Now, another thing I'll go into that, Tim, with SMV is confidence, right? Mm-hmm. Is how confident are you when you approach your wife? I was talking to a man that we know, Tim, recently. Actually, it was Argentina. I had a conversation with a guy, and I said, how often do you initiate with your wife? He's like, well, and we're having an honest, real conversation, so I knew he wouldn't lie to me. He's like, not very often. I said, okay, I'm going to give you a challenge. I want you to initiate at least 5 days a week. He accepted the challenge, but didn't initiate, didn't follow through on the challenge itself because he lacked confidence in that area. Now, do you think his wife could tell that he was lacking confidence in the initiation? 100%. Mm-hmm. So you need to practice. And the way that you get confidence, guys, is by failing, right? Fail forward fast. Use the, just like you guys do in business, fail forward fast. Just keep trying and laugh at yourself when you fall. But practice and get those reps in, right? And make them subtle. If you and your wife are so far apart, Do something really small, a bid for connection for a hug or a high five, whatever it is. Do it and practice it with your wife, but not only your wife, but do subtle things with other people, coworkers, the barista, but do things that are outside your comfort zone. I know you have the guys in the inner circle do this every single week. They're doing something outside their comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And now that these guys, I've watched them, Tim, you've done such a great job. They have expanded such a big realm of what's possible for them. The things that they're doing now are like, holy smokes. And the things that they were previously afraid of are nothing to them.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. They now struggle to answer the question, what am I going to do to get uncomfortable this week? Because everything is beginning to feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
It's a great problem that they've created for themselves.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great way to increase your confidence. If you know you can handle every problem that comes your way, confidence comes easy.
And to the point we made earlier with SMV and social status, they're around a group of men that are also playing at that level, who they can come and confide in, who are going to encourage them to get out of the comfort zone. So what their wife sees or their partner sees is this guy going out into the world with reckless abandon, charismatic, confident, clear, decisive, and that's what she receives from him too. Hence why, intimacy isn't an issue for those guys.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, in fact, I'll double down on that. What you just said is iron sharpens iron, birds of a feather flock together. None of us want to be, they always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. All of these things are cliche, but so true. Mm-hmm. And you need to find a group of men. And I think it needs to be more than 50 men, right? Because men are creatures of habit, right? And they start letting each other go and what have you. And this is why we mix some of our packs up. And people always wonder like how we mix people at events is because you want to rub against something a little bit more abrasive or somebody that's different. So ideally 50 men is what I would look for, and find a group. And yes, men. And you can have women in the mix too, but men are uniquely going to understand your positions. Men are uniquely going to understand your walk of life. If you're a businessman, get in a group of businessmen. If you are an employee right now, then get in a group with employees that are doing something. Maybe you guys want to be business owners, maybe not. But find people that are like-minded. They're just up one rung ahead of you or working at being one rung ahead of you so you can ride that wave.
Beautiful. Well said.
Tim, this is a great topic, man. I'm going to have to go take a picture of myself and do a self-assessment. I wasn't planning on this today, but I love this topic, and it's something that I always can improve on.
Yeah, me too. A couple of things definitely came up for me that I can refine as a result of this. So I'm definitely going to be journaling today.
I find it hard to believe. Gentlemen, as we always say in the moment of insight, take massive action. What are you going to do today? Take that picture. List that group. Are you in a group or around a group of men that can do that? Their iron sharpens iron. That's an invaluable resource to have, not only for your SMV, but also other things that come up: relationships, fatherhood, business, wealth, strategy, religion, spirituality, whatever it may be for you. We all struggle at times. Surround yourself with a group of men who are rising together. Now, if you're interested in joining our group of men, the Powerful Men Movement, and maybe you're interested in the activation method, go ahead and click the link below in the description, get on a call with one of our advisors and see which pathway could be the best for you. And that way you have momentum, right? You don't have to take massive action, but I recommend it, and make sure that you're doing it. Get outside your comfort zones. Gentlemen, as always, appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show.